Why was I abandoned in this strange place? Is the question that stings the creature's thoughts like a sharp thorn. Don't you feel that way sometimes? Lost and alone? Confused by your own sufferings? And when you do feel that way, who do you turn to? What makes your pain easier? A promise that all this suffering will be rewarded in a far better place, high above in the skies. And you make peace with it, with all the cruelty and atrocities we inflict upon one another. We find a way to justify them. There have been two great narcotics in European civilizations, alcohol and Christianity, said Nietzsche. 18-year-old Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein as a fireside ghost story, and when you hear the name in your head, a green figure is put together with bolts and most certainly has a flat head. But that is not Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein is the creator of the creature that looks fairly inconsistent according to the usual descriptions. Mary Shelley describes the creature as, his yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was a lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of a pearly whiteness, but these luxuriances only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes that seemed almost of the same color as the dun-white sockets in which they were set, his shriveled complexion and straight black lips. The creature was made by Dr. Frankenstein in a quest for glory to be the god, as he says. Life and death appear to me as ideal bounds which I should first break through and pour a torrent of light in our dark world. But the irony is, if we show a little kid a picture of the creature made by Frankenstein, he will call it Frankenstein. The societal inclination to give names to the nameless quickly led to this confusion. A subconscious desire to simplify a complex narrative-made creature, the creator. Maybe it was convenient labeling instead of calling it a creature, or the name suits the creature more than the doctor. Or the creature depicted the truth of Dr. Frankenstein, the ugliness he concealed behind his human face. The confusion about the creator and the creature solidified over time, generation after generation making the same error. Even mainstream media made this mistake numerous times. The doctor, who wanted to transcend the limits of mortality, found himself eclipsed by his very creation. Victor stitches up the nameless creature with the skins and body parts of different animals, and then with a bolt of lightning, the creature turns alive. When Frankenstein sees what he has made, he abandons the creature and runs away. The creature is like a newborn. Unaware of this world, he gets rejected wherever he goes, and his form is considered disgusting and revolting. He learns any ideas he has about language, culture, and art from the DeLacy family, as he observes them through a little hole in their cottage. And when finally he encounters the family in hope of being accepted, they are horrified to see him. The books Frankenstein's creature reads when he's alone in the woods are Sorrows of Werther by Goethe, Plutarch's Lives of Illustrious Greeks and Romans, and Paradise Lost by John Milton. The creature, through these books, gains a nuanced understanding of human emotions, relationships, virtues, vices, and the consequences of rebellion. However, his experiences in the real world, marked by rejection and isolation, distort these lessons. Despite learning about the virtues from Plutarch and the consequences of unchecked passions from Goethe, the creature's life experiences push him towards bitterness and despair. The idealized knowledge from these books contrasts starkly with the harsh reality he faces. And finally, when the creature reads Victor Frankenstein's journal, he learns about his creation and the abandonment by his creator. The creature discovers the corruption and moral failings of his creator, leading him to question the moral authority of a supposed god. After learning that Victor is the only person responsible for all his misery, the creature asks Victor for a companion, and when he rejects this demand, the creature destroys Victor's whole family one by one, taking away everything that gave Victor hope and reason to live. But why? Why inflict such desolation upon Victor? why the creature is so resentful and enraged towards his creator, or is this resentment truly directed towards himself? Before being introduced to the reality of his creator, the sole need of the creature is to be accepted, loved, and find companionship. He reads Milton, Paradise Lost, and compares himself to Adam, who was brought into this world to impart knowledge, but once the creature learns about Victor, he realizes that his God is nothing near to a benevolent being, then the creature needs to take his revenge from God for all the misery he has suffered. The creature's morality was pure and guided by his innate sense of caring for others until he suffered from the cruelty of this world and his creator. His morals were utterly poisoned by the introduction of a God in his life. Why was God introduced to humans really? Because we used to kill one another without any reason? Or we were confused beings who wandered this world purposely and then eventually died alone? Sounds familiar? So why were gods created then? Religion has its origins in the desire to explain this very confusing world. The early humans were forced to live very primitive lives. The terrors and confusion that they faced forced them to generate such beliefs to make sense of their ignorance. Believing that there is a God allowed human minds to calm down in the face of poverty, anxiety, illness, and death. Religion amounted to a machine for bitter denial about the realities of the world. In most religions around the globe, a man can only find happiness and be the best version of himself if he excels at pleasing his God. The unchallenged and undisputed authority that a God holds subsides the human's innate sense of self. The moral compass with which they're born unreservedly begins to depend on the moral compass that is introduced to them through their religion. And when their God does not bestow his blessings upon the man, he starts to bend the rules to his benefit. He lies and says it's to protect a heart from breaking. He kills and says it's for his country. He enslaves people, generation, and nations and says it's to educate and make them cultured beings, according to their definition of culture. So when Nietzsche said, "God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him," he wasn't proclaiming the literal death of a divine being, but rather the loss of belief in a transcendent moral authority. He suggested that instead of religious doctrines, individuals need to create their values, forging a path to a new understanding of morality rooted in human experiences and reason. Victor's unchecked ambition and quest for godlike knowledge and power led to the creation of the creature, emphasizing the idea that the pursuit of knowledge without ethical constraints can lead to disastrous consequences for not just the creature, but for himself as well. In the end, Frankenstein is determined to follow the creature and punish him for his deeds, like a god unleashing their wrath upon the disobedient, and dies in his quest. The creature kills himself because he made his god the absolute reason and purpose of his existence. Thus, without his god, he has nothing left to live for. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein 200 years ago and predicted the use of technology and its effects without ethical and moral constraints can be utterly disastrous, which essentially applies to today's modern world where AI is taking more and more control over our lives. Moreover, she made it abundantly clear that morality exists entirely on its own, and if God and religion have any role in it, it's corrupting the innate moral compass of us humans, as it did to the creature when he found his creator's text. When we see the suffering in this world, every day brings destruction and our personal lives are poisoned by our lack of peace and happiness. Do you think the rules made by religion and gods were protecting us, or rather confining us all along?